What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 14 of Straight to the Kokoro. My longtime friend Norman Cruz, who is big weeb, former powerlifter, and I believe that's how we initially met, and currently an athletic trainer, is joining me today. So, Norm, thanks for hopping on, especially on a Sunday.
Yeah, no problem, man. Good to be here.
So, is there anything you've been watching? Could be anime, could be not anime, that you've really been vibing with lately, kind of binging through?
So I'm still watching a lot of anime. I'm more so into like waiting for stuff to be fully out and then I'll just binge the crap out of it. So I just binged the last season of My Hero and
Okay.
I'm probably gonna actually follow this season's. Um I'm actually starting to watch Dahmer on Netflix with my girlfriend. We've been watching
Okay.
that and that's just like he did a lot of fucked up shit and like it really gives you an idea like the mind of a serial killer and someone like him. So it's really interesting stuff.
Yeah, I saw that one the other day when I was on Netflix because I started this morning. You ever see Violent Evergarden?
Yes, that was such a good show.
I'm all the way on episode one, but I'm already like I'm gonna cry. I know I'm gonna cry
Yeah.
at some point. But then I finished. Have you seen the Cyberpunk Edge Runner show that everyone I feel like has been talking about? Netflix just released like maybe a week or two ago, I feel like.
I heard good things. I want to kind of start it because I played the game and I liked it a lot.
Yeah. I like the animation. The story was pretty good. I feel like people actually, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this. So, me and Connor have talked about like how people's rating systems for shit is just all fucked up, whether it's like food, movies, whatever. Like 5 out of 10 is like average, right? Like
Hmm.
2.5 out of 5 is average. Like, but people rate stuff like everything's a 10 out of 10. So, like, I don't think I've seen anything that's actually a 10 out of 10 yet. I would say some things are like nines, but I don't know if anything's actually been a 10. Do you feel the same way, or have you seen anything that you're just like, that's a 10?
Not really. I mean, there's so many factors that should play a part into like what things get as a rating. Like for me, like based on an anime, like characters, the story, the openings, the endings, like stuff like that.
For sure. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that show that I just mentioned, Cyberpunk, was like I said a 7.5. Like I love the animation. The opening grew on me a ton. The ending I thought was really good. And I actually didn't expect it to be the way it was, especially when you watch the whole 12 episodes through, you're just kind of like, oh, I did not entirely see that coming. You know where it's going though, so the plot's semi-predictable. But I feel like I don't know if I can think of anything that's like really been that good recently. Tokyo Ghoul was great for the first two seasons.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I think Attack on Titan is on that level because
That's true,
there's
yeah.
so many good characters. This story is so like captivating, and there's always twists and turns. Like, oh, Reiner's one of the Titans. Oh, Aaron. Like, I don't want to spoil anything else because I know people don't really read the manga, but there's so much stuff that goes on. I'm
I
just like,
think
wow.
for you watching that show, is there any character that is your favorite or was your favorite and then kind of shifted as stuff went on?
So my big thing with characters is I do not like any main character at all. Like, I think all the main characters are all like have that same archetype. They're all like, oh, I have this goal. I'm gonna do this. And for a really long time, I hated Aaron. But once like the story picked up, I was like, yo, Aaron's a badass. He's an anti-hero.
Yeah,
I started liking him a lot.
I think that's probably one of my favorite. Like I actually liked him more after there was like the skip, which like I don't generally care if people spoil stuff on here. I've had all discussions. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I thought after that I was like he finally grew a pair of balls. Like he seems to have he's way more tactical. Like and he's
Hmm.
not just complaining. Like but I think Gabby is probably one of the best characters, despite like everyone fucking hates her. And if someone hasn't gotten there yet, like they'll figure it out. But like she perfectly parallels like the war at that point.
Oh yeah. And one of my like since the beginning, one of my other all-time favorite characters in the show has always been Reiner Braun, just because him and his Titan form are based off of Brock Lesnar, who was like one of my like favorite like wrestlers, athletes ever.
I did not know that. That makes a lot of sense though, because he kind of does look like Brock Lesnar as a Titan.
Yeah, like I used to watch a lot of WWE when I was a kid, and I was just like seeing him, I was like, yo, this even in UFC when I used to watch like a lot, I was like, this guy's a freaking monster.
What got you into watching like UFC, WWE?
I used to have an uncle that was very, very big into WWE. So I would just like watch it with him. And then like eventually like now I started picking it back up because it's something me and my girlfriend Rachel like to watch just because like,
Nice.
yo, those guys are huge and it's entertaining. It's like it gets a lot of comparisons to oh it's anime for rednecks.
I mean, I think it's pretty funny from like a theatrical standpoint, especially like the older shit I've seen clips of and they use for like memes where it's like Steve Austin driving like through a parking garage, crashing
Hmm.
a car, and then like coming down a ramp.
Yeah.
Or the
And then
other
like with the
is like dead and then alive.
yeah, and then with like the UFC and the martial arts, I've always been like fascinated by that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole. I feel like just people who like as people who both work in kind of like I guess I'd say the fitness industry, if you consider what you do, also that as well as athletics, right? Like that stuff's just wild to see, like the conditioning of those guys, the stuff their bodies can do, stuff they can endure.
Yeah. I mean, I do have to correct you because you did introduce me as an athletic trainer.
Yeah,
So I do have my degree in athletic training. I took my test, didn't pass. So
gotcha.
after that, I was just like, oh, screw it. And then like
Okay,
for a long time, I was kind of like, upset about it because like I want to be an athletic trainer. I want to work with athletes. But as we get older, we grow, we have different goals. I find that I don't really want to work with athletes anymore. Like I find because right now I'm working at a place called Stretch Lab. The concept is pretty simple. I stretch people basically. So uh, I find that the active adult population is something that I really want to work with. And eventually I do maybe PT school is an option for me because I've always been fascinated with like injuries and rehab and stuff like that. Or maybe even PTA, physical therapy assistant, because that's kind of a cheaper route, and I don't want to be in any more student loan debt.
no,
That that shit sucks.
I feel you. Is it was working at Stretch Lab? Because I know you've worked different places. Was that really where you feel like throughout the transition you figured out it's like the adult population is one that you feel fulfilled and rewarded with?
Yeah, and I feel really, like you said, I feel really fulfilled, and I feel like I'm helping people because when I was working as a student athletic trainer, a kid would come to me hurt. I do a couple of things to them. I'm like, come back here. We'll do so and so. We'll do some exercises. They're like, yeah. I see them a couple of times and they never come back. I'm just like, and then they get hurt again. But with the stress lab, I know it's like kind of like a precursor to like physical therapy and stuff like that because a lot of people do use that as a stepping stone. So I feel like I'm helping people and I'm getting a lot of experience in doing so.
For sure. Have you found like I can't obviously do manual work as like a personal trainer or put my hands on people legally. Like, have you found that like it's given you reps with certain like hands-on stuff, obviously, especially at the current place you're at that you need to kind of progress in what you're doing?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because a lot of people will get pretty much people from like all different walks of life, from like athletes to people who are lawyers or sit at a desk all day, and they'll come and be like, "Oh, I have like I do this to stay active, but I'm like at a desk for this certain amount of time, and I feel stiff, really stiff here." And then like that, like being able to put my hands on people and like stretch them out, like assess like these structures are tight. That's probably what's causing this type of pain, stuff like that. It's helping me a lot and giving me that knowledge and experience.
Nice. Do you have any idea where you kind of see? I know you said like PT school, more likely PTA, depending on financial situation and obviously what you see is worth it. Do you have any idea where you'd want to kind of go long term? Would you want to be on your own? Would you want to work at a facility that kind of has everything in house, or just no idea at the moment?
I've thought about it for a while, and I've one of my last jobs actually like I've worked in physical therapy offices since I was in college pretty much, and I've worked at like places that are chains like professional physical therapy, JAG, and
Yep.
then just recently I've worked at like a guy who's owned his own practice. You know, a lot of times in the those bigger facilities, the insurance companies are going to be a big pain in the ass
Yeah.
either way, and they kind of overwork you. Like I would see the PTs like see someone every 20 minutes for like 8 hours a day, and they get overworked, especially if they're really young, like just starting out. But in that same kind of setting, someone who owns a business is still a lot of work. I think eventually I want to do that, like maybe have a partner, but starting out as in like those bigger changes is still going to be a good experience just for me to get that hands on.
For
But
sure.
eventually, like I want to be on my own.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. I mean, from what I've seen, when I interned at one place that had an in-house PT, like the quality of care, because I mean, I've been on both sides of it too as a patient, I would say. Like, I feel like the quality of care in private practice is just significantly higher, like, because the insurance model isn't involved in it.
Hmm.
So yeah, what I've seen, like I just remember when I tore my labrum, it was like I saw the PT for about 20 minutes. He'd like talk to me, do some stuff, throw like a heat pack on my hip, and then
Yeah,
like
and then they give you exercise to do, and sometimes like people will look and like be like, "Oh, hey, maybe try this instead of doing this," and then they'll put you on like stim and ice.
yeah, or I'd hang out with like the PTA the whole time. Like
Hmm.
I'd see like the four PTAs. I'd be like, "Hey, how was your weekend?" And, like, because the PT would be running around, and he was awesome still, but like you said,
Hmm.
definitely very scattered between a lot of clients during like the same hour-ish duration. And I feel like it was, I guess, way more generic. I would say, kind of like I know people talk about in fitness and strength and conditioning, like cookie cutter ish programs.
Hmm.
There was probably a dozen other people, I assume, that had like clamshells, a quad stretch, like a lying quad stretch, and something else. Despite like we all had different issues.
Yeah, like that quality of care, like you said, is so different. Like I would see some like in like the professional physical therapy office, like I would see someone come in with like shoulder issues, and it's just like, oh, they're gonna do like V raises, like just general stuff to strengthen up the shoulder. And then in the other setting, the guy who owned his own practice, he'd be doing like half get ups, and I'd be like, what?
Yeah, no, there's some.
Different.
Yeah, I don't understand. You might know Bill. Do you know who Bill Hartman is?
Sounds familiar, yeah.
Bill's a PT out in Indianapolis who's like brilliant, and Bill comes up with really novel ways based on like how the skeleton moves and how the body manipulates pressure internally, because that's like what's underneath everything. Well,
Hmm.
there's even more underneath that, but like he has people do like you could do a half get up to drive like you drive ER on the hip that is in like that A frame position, IR on the downside hip. But like he might have you do a half get up or a quarter get up versus like a full get up.
Hmm.
And that's he's not really married. He's not married to any exercise, but it's just crazy like the stuff people come up with. And he's a private PT.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. So I definitely feel like that's one of those things. Was your undergrad? What was your undergrad in Norm?
So I dual majored, and I have a degree in exercise science and athletic training.
Okay. Willie P had both, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's pretty cool. How does it feel going to the same school for so long? Like seeing the different people like move in and out of programs, because I'm sure there were people that you graduated with that didn't go to like an athletic training program there or just didn't continue education in general.
No, I kind of understand it. Like people change. Sometimes you don't always like you want to do something, and then you change your mind the next minute. Like I know with the AT program, our AT program was it started off as 20, and then little by little I would slowly see it drop off, and then our graduating class ended with like 7 or 8 people.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and then I think out of all those people, 2 or 3 are graduate assistants doing athletic training stuff. One is working as an AT at NJIT, and then what else? The rest are either not doing AT stuff or trying to do like physician assistant or physical therapy.
Interesting. The physician's assistant one's really interesting because it's like I've known people have gone that route, but I feel like they generally do like the whole traditional, like they've done the bio undergrad and then they're just like they're gonna be a PT, yeah, physician's PA. I feel like most people that I've known that have been PTs generally have like a kinesiology undergrad. Like there's like
Mhm.
a typical pattern that people seem to follow.
Yep.
Except like I feel like Kathy, our previous gym owner for both of us, was like she was a lawyer and she had a I think her undergrad was in history, which isn't
Yeah, I
unheard
think it
of.
was. Hmm.
But like it was just one of those things where I'm like she was like I'm a lawyer. I was like I was not gonna predict your undergrad was in history. But how has it been? Are you still training at Ray's gym?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So my training is a lot different now because I'm not really doing powerlifting stuff.
Yep.
I'll still do like the movements, but I'm not interested in doing any kind of competition whatsoever.
What do you think? Like, so we've obviously I don't powerlift anymore either, like at all. I don't do any of the big three actually at this point, and I haven't for probably almost a year. Like, what for you got you kind of like away from the sport itself, competitively at least?
Honestly, my schedule. I know that's really stupid to say because in the fitness industry, we're always like, you always have time to go to the gym, even if it's for like 20 or 30 minutes. But I was still in school. I was doing my clinical rotations for athletic training. I was doing um my internship for exercise science, like at a pre-C speed school. I was working like two jobs, and then I was actually training for a meet, like Iron Gobbler 2019. And then I decided like I can't keep up with this. So that Iron Gobbler was going to be my last meet, and it did end up being my last meet. Then over time, like I found like I don't enjoy being in the gym for 2.5, 3 hours. Like I
Yeah.
want to get a good workout in for like 45 minutes or an hour and then go home.
So that's exactly literally what I do at the moment. Like it takes me and Connor because we go to the gym together and we don't work out at our gym. Takes us like 50 minutes normally to lift. And it's I think for me it's been so much better, especially because I don't think people realize like, it's really fun being strong, at least it was in my opinion. But like you have to warm up so much. By the time you finish like your compounds, you still have to do your accessories. Like and yeah, you can go faster through it depending on the block. But like once you get heavy enough and closer to meet prep, or you're in meet prep, right? Like you have singles, it takes even longer to warm up,
Mm-hmm.
then you have even longer breaks. And yeah, like you said, I just felt like I got to the point where I just didn't enjoy it. I was like, I don't want to be here for 2 hours and then know the next day I have to come back for about 2 hours or an hour and a half, whatever it was. So I
Yeah.
definitely feel that. What's most of your training look like now?
So I typically have I have the basic bro split. So like I'll do chest and triceps, back, shoulder, like arms, and then a leg day. And
Okay.
then like I'll like end the workout with like 25, 30 minutes on the treadmill.
Okay, nice. Yeah. I actually just finished conditioning before we hopped on here on a treadmill.
Oh, nice.
It's
But
terrible.
then again, like going back to that before. So our good mutual friend Sam,
Yeah.
so he coached me and a lot of our other close friends for a very long time. And I remember a conversation he and I had because I was getting frustrated with some of my lifts. And he like the gist of the conversation was basically you're not going to be powerlifting forever. I remember just like laughing. I'm like, yeah, well, okay, I feel like I'm gonna be doing this forever. Like I'm pretty decent at it. And
Yeah.
then yeah, look where I'm at now.
For sure.
I don't give a damn about powerlifting anymore.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, we literally got a leg press at the gym that we have because we were like we didn't want to squat anymore and we were still training at the gym we work at. And then we were just like, all right, well, we end up doing work because during our rest periods, we're just on the computer actually doing like admin stuff or stuff for the course we teach. And then we got a leg press and we used that for maybe like a couple weeks. And then Connor was just like, I joined the 24-hour fitness. We have machines. I don't have to think, like it's just lock and load. I was like, yeah, that sounds way better than lifting here. I'm gonna join there too. And we've been there like 8, 9 months, I think at least.
Oh, nice.
I mean,
Powerlifting is also a lot on your body. Like if you're not properly recovering and stretching, you're fucked because woman that comes to me frequently at stretch time, and like powerlifting like messed up her knee. Like she has like bursitis and like a lot of other issues that she wasn't able to do because like she wasn't able to cover because she worked a lot. She had kids, so she would literally like do her main big three compound lifts and then just go right to like work or like right to home, and, like not properly recover.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of people, what comes to mind for me is like they're just not aware of like all the factors in their life, and then training being one of them. So it's like you kind of said, right? Like they sit at a desk all day, or they do like I had a physical labor job for a good chunk of what I was doing powerlifting, and it's like, oh, okay, well that's going to eat into your training. Like I have all this additional stress on my body, like in a different way that a lot of people probably don't. And then it's like, okay, yeah, I might get overuse injuries quicker, or I have to know my volume better. That's why I think it's so interesting that like, because I know Ray has like all some of the best equipment you could have, like the prime stuff.
Mhm.
And it's like, I feel like the biggest thing I've noticed is like people still do compounds now, but like being on machines is now like cool again, air quotes. Like it accessory work has not just become like the big three and then variations of them. Where I feel like when I first got into it, at least it was like you had your SBD days, and then like all your accessories were like I had RDLs or I had like dumbbell bench, and now people are like machine bench pressing, chest supported row on a plate loaded machine. Like there's a lot more reference people are getting, or things that reduce like total axial loading.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm not talking like bad about powerlifting. Like I love powerlifting. Powerlifting. Like a lot of my close friends and like the ones that you are also close with. Like I met them through powerlifting.
Oh,
But
for
like it's
sure.
yeah, it's not something I want to do anymore. I
Yeah,
grew out of it.
I just think it's interesting that it's evolved the way it has to where like I mean the sport's also just grown tremendously since we both started.
Hmm.
So like, totaling at the time, I don't know, like 1350 would have been
Yeah, I
good.
remember that when that was such a big deal. Now it's like 18-year-olds are totaling that like it's nothing.
Dude, it's scary. Like the 60, I don't know what it is, 60 whatever kg, because they went to weirder weight classes now. Like they total like 14 something. And I'm like, yeah. Uh I mean, it's not the reason I don't compete, but it's just crazy to think that like the standard for our weight class, which was 74, you were 66 at one point, right?
Oh yeah, never, man. I was always a
Dude, yeah.
74.
I would say that just I feel like that had to suck.
Flashing bro.
Thank you. But something I think would be cool to talk about, because ironically I never knew Sam was Elish's little for the longest time, like in
Oh
college.
yeah.
Like I would say, like, do you see Sam as like one of your mentors, not just a coach? I would say, right? Like we've talked about other stuff that you feel like he's imparted wisdom on you through your conversations and giving you perspective.
Yeah, into a lot of different things, not just lifting, but like life itself.
Yeah,
He's like, so you know, I have a very, very deep fascination with Sasuke from
yeah,
Naruto. So I really look at Sam as my Kakashi.
yeah. What do you feel like are some of the biggest things outside of training? Because I could resonate with that too. Like that's how I see my relationship with Elish to some degree too. Like lifting, I would say, is actually way less of the iceberg than every other part of like what I've learned about myself and in our relationship. So what do you feel like you've kind of changed throughout your time, your relationship with Sam as you guys have both grown, or perspective he's given you that have really helped with some shifts in different areas of your life?
Hmm. So yeah, the biggest thing was, powerlifting isn't going to be forever. We're always changing goals and changing our mindsets. So for a long time, I was like, I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to be a powerlifting coach. I'm going to be powerlifting forever. I said that when I was 22. I'm 27 now. I don't really care about that anymore. I want to help with the rehab stuff now.
No,
And
I mean,
then, yeah,
no, please.
sorry, bro. And then like another big thing that Sam told me was like, you can't always, rely on other people for happiness.
Mm,
So like when I was with him, I was in a relationship with a woman who was older than me. And like I would let my relationship with her kind of affect my lifts. So if her and I were fighting, like I would have shitty lifts and I would just be like frustrated all the time. So now I kind of know that like I shouldn't have to rely on people to make myself happy.
Yeah. Do you
Like
care if
I
I
can be happy from other stuff.
yeah. I feel like that's like one thing that you care if I comment on that?
Go ahead, man.
I feel like that's something I've seen. I mean, I've seen it on both ends, like people getting into a relationship and they're both either they don't have to be doing the same thing as in powerlifting, but like they've both gotten really strong. And it's like kind of this, you're riding the honeymoon phase as they're both like PRing. And then,
Hmm.
like you said, if whether your significant other is doing the same thing or not, like when there's conflict in a relationship, it's going to it's going to affect like their lifts typically.
Mm.
I think it could help them in some ways, like maybe if that's how you channel anger. But for a lot of people, I think it honestly makes them worse at lifting.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But no, I totally get that. I think that was like I feel like that comes also with like managing expectations for like training. At least when I was doing powerlifting, was like I think I expected it to be like I'm just gonna go up, 2.5 pounds or 5 pounds a week, and then when you kind of hit a wall at some points in blocks where like one lift goes to shit, it's like very disorienting, I guess. Like, oh fuck, am I gonna like make it to the meet? I might not even PR. Like my life is over.
Yeah, man, that's why I was always a sandbagger.
Oh, dude, so was I. I remember I went
Just
up
be like,
once, then the next week Ellis jumped like all my lifts jumped to like 30 pounds. He's like, that's what happens when you've been sandbagging for like 6 months. And I was like, oh no, I have to work now.
yeah, I remember like I'd be programmed like in RPE like 8 or something. I'd have like a weight in my mind. I'd do it. I'd be like, oh, that kind of felt heavy. And then I look at the video and it looked like in RP7. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna stay there.
Yeah, I feel like I could say that actually too about your training. Like even when I feel like I've seen you in a meet at times, I've been like, Norm has like so much in the tank still. It's like, okay, I don't think he's actually trying. Versus you see some of the people have like passed out mid deadlift, and you're just like, oh fuck, I don't want to be there.
Hell no.
Have you ever had that though, where the lights get really bright, like you put down a deadlift or you put down a squat, and you're just like, oh fuck, like
Not that extreme, but I had like times where like I'd get like really bad headache after like a heavy single and just like, oh damn.
okay. I never used to get the headache, but I definitely like my eyes would actually like visually. I'm like, okay, I'm like disoriented right now.
Yeah, but I would never like pass out or like
No, no, I've
get
never.
like spinning lights.
No, I when I was doing like the one, I don't know if you ever saw me do the one crazy circuit I used to do, like the 30-30 thing.
I think you told me about that though.
Yeah, it was terrible. But I just remember one time I made the mistake of sitting on the couch instead of like walking and coming down off like such a high output activity. And I literally was like, I can't move. Like I physically don't think I could move right now. And I had to just stay there for like 45 minutes until like I was like, okay, I could drive home now without having to like crash on 24. But yeah, man, it's crazy. So I feel like one thing I know you got recently that you've been waiting for a while is the Berserk tattoo. So you want to talk at all about Berserk?
Yes. So for the longest time, I hated on anime. Like I would like we all had that stage early, like when we were like 5 years old, where we would watch Toonami,
Oh yeah.
like Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, stuff like that. So at the time when I was like 5, I didn't think that was an anime. I was just like, oh, these are just really cool cartoons. And then I kind of found out what it was when I got older, and I was like, yo, this is you got some like grown people watching cartoons and shit. That's kind of whack. And I had a girl I dated that loved One Piece, absolutely loved it. And I would make fun of her all the time for it. But then, one day I sat down with her and started watching it. I was like, yo, this is good.
Oh yeah, dude. Oda's nuts.
So yeah, One Piece was one of my first animes. And then Berserk was actually my first manga. So I
Really?
remember going into a Barnes and Noble, like looking at like the cover art, I was like, this is sick. And I've been hooked on Berserk ever since. Like the art, the story, Guts is like one of my favorite characters in anime and manga of all time. And I've been contemplating getting a tattoo for the longest time. And it was either, that Berserk tattoo, the brand of sacrifice, or, the birthmark from JoJo, because JoJo is also one of my favorite animes.
Yeah.
And I ended up picking the Berserk one because Kintaro Miura, rest in peace, just passed away last year. and I want to do it as like a tribute to him.
No, I think that's awesome. I mean, how old were you when you picked up Berserk? Because like, if anyone hasn't seen it, it's way more intense, especially as you get deeper into it than I.
Oh yeah, once you find out everyone's backstories and like get into the because it starts off not slow, but like it gets into some heavy shit
Oh
later
yeah.
on.
I mean,
But I was probably I want to say maybe between 18 and 20.
okay, so you weren't like super young. I was thinking you were gonna be like 11. And I was gonna be like, dude,
Oh
picking up
no.
Berserk at like 11. I feel like I'd be traumatized, or I'd show up to school with like Guts' sword. But yeah, dude, that's wild. I mean, I've seen the three movies because I heard the anime sucks. Like if you watch the old
Depends
anime.
what anime. The older anime is amazing. The
Okay,
newer
so
one
the
from
new
like
one sucks
2016.
then.
Yeah, the
Okay.
2016 one sucks.
Okay. And I swear the one scene where there's like the eclipse, like that is what I think a bad trip would probably be. Like the worst trip you could have on some type of psychedelic or drug, like is the scene where Griffith and the eclipse happens.
Yeah, you just see him like surrounded by like demons and then like go into like this egg and you see like a bunch of other
Oh yeah, I mean
like I
just
don't want to say too much because like you like for anyone who's listening, you really need to like experience it.
I don't think there's nothing that like you see it, and I think the build up to that too. Like once you get deep enough in the story at that point, you just like realize like what Guts meant to means to Griffith,
Mm-hmm.
like vice versa. And then like you said, I feel like it starts out as just your typical like he's a mercenary,
Yeah.
like he's a badass mercenary, but like there's not a lot of depth to him besides he's just doing it for money is the initial
Mm-hmm.
impression you get. And then I haven't gotten nearly as far as you, but I know like after he joins the band of Hawks, like it changes quite a bit. Like that's where things really pick up, I would say, right?
Oh yeah. So one of my favorite genres of anime is supernatural. So I didn't think there would be any kind of like supernatural horror stuff involved with Berserk, but like it takes a really big turn.
Oh yeah. I mean, from what I know with some of I just know Skull Knight and then some of like the what are the people called from the Eclipse? The God's Hand?
Yep, the God Hand.
Like the God Hand is insane. Like the animation's really cool and just the drawing style too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so good.
So
It's like if you need to like pick up a manga to read, like Berserk is the one to pick up. And you need to get like because there's different versions of it. There's like the normal standard size mangas, and then there's like
you
the
no, yeah.
what's up?
No, I would say you're saying the standard size, and then there's like the books, right? Like
Yeah,
the
like the bigger ass like kind of textbook size. Those are the ones you need to get if you want to read Berserk.
really okay. I know
Because
a
you need the
girl.
art like full size.
Really okay. I know a
Yeah,
girl who's a tattoo artist that has like all of them, and I think they're also mad expensive, right? Like because you're getting like a
they're like $50, but you can find them pretty cheap in like on like Amazon.
oh, that's not bad. Okay, I was thinking it was way crazier.
Nah.
Like yeah, hopefully I don't know if they'll ever animate any more of it. I know the his apprentice, I believe, is taking over like the manga, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's gonna
I
be
haven't gone that far because I'm still reading, the older stuff. But I've heard like some mixed things about it.
okay. I mean, I feel like that's Naruto, dude. Like, if we want to get into that, like both of us I know love Naruto. I feel like
Oh my God,
Naruto is
yes,
what's up?
yes.
I feel like Naruto, from what I've seen, and I know a decent amount of what's happening in the manga. Like, it just there's a lot of filler. Like, there's just so much filler in it before it gets to like where the movie essentially goes.
Mm-hmm. And you know, Naruto is one of my favorite animes. Like, and I know a lot of people think that Boruto should never have gotten an anime,
Yeah,
but I kind of think the opposite. I think it's entertaining for when the manga canon stuff is animated, but all the filler stuff I do not like.
yeah, dude. I'm not a filler person. I skip some of that in the end of Shippuden.
Mm.
Because I've seen scenes like someone had a tattoo of Itachi holding a chicken, and I was like, where the hell was that in the show? And they're like, oh, it's in the filler. I was like, oh, it's like because that looks way too well drawn to just be something someone thought of. But no, I mean Baro right now where it is really good because Kawaki, like I like him way more than I like Baruto as a character.
Yeah, Kawaki is a really cool character because he's, I don't know, in a sense he's kind of a good mix between Naruto and Sasuke. Not just
Yeah,
because of like his hairstyle, because he's like
yeah.
half blonde and half like black, but his personality and like mannerisms.
I feel like he's more. It's like I feel like they just literally did the reverse, where it's like now it is this way, right? But like Baruto is definitely Naruto's son, and Sasuke is more of his mentor. And then you
Hmm.
kind of have like Kawaki, who's definitely closer to Sasuke and his demeanor as a person, his
Hmm.
personality. Like, if anything, he's a little bit more emotional than Sasuke.
A little bit,
Like
yeah,
Naruto's like his dad and is his sensei in a lot of ways. But
yeah.
he's also a prodigy. Sasuke was like a prodigy. Naruto by no means is a prodigy.
Hmm.
So I definitely think it's good, and I like the Otsutsuki stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. But like they need to, do some more manga canon stuff. I
Yeah,
know, and I know there's a reason that they can't because the manga's like less than 100 chapters in, I think.
I think so. I think it's just pacing, like you're saying.
Hmm.
Like that's I feel like that's so many. Like I think that's what One Piece has kind of run into at this point. It's like the manga is not super far ahead of like Wano just having ended. So like the anime, if they wanted to, they could definitely like bang through the rest of what's happening and catch up. And that would be like I feel like probably every mangaka's like worst fear.
Hmm.
Or you're just like shit. Now you have to pull the South Park. Like you have to write it out in the beginning of the week, and it's got to be animated by like the next Sunday.
But One Piece is forever, man. I fucking love One Piece.
Yeah, are you caught up?
A couple episodes behind. I think there's what, like 130, no, 1034, 35 maybe episodes. I'm
I think
like
you're on 39.
1039. Okay, I'm like 1028,
Okay. Yeah,
but
I
I'm
think
getting there.
it's. I mean, I just think it's crazy how Oda bring like character development wise. I don't think anyone's done it better than One Piece.
Hmm.
Like he's bringing people back from like like Buggy's been there since like what like probably episode 10 or maybe a little bit later than that. But like they've managed to hold like through 1,000 episodes, and he's kept a similar thing, but you get more of his backstory as we've kept going. Like you're past the point where you saw he was part of Roger's crew,
Hmm.
like him and Shanks, and just like yeah, the number of like layers they've given everything, and the creativity of Devil Fruits too is just ridiculous.
Yeah, like Oda the Goat. I don't know, a lot of people are just like, One Piece is too damn long. Like I
Yeah.
don't I don't want to do it. But
Yep.
in my opinion, it's worth it.
I think so, but it's funny that you say that because I feel like that's the most polarizing question I've asked. I've had conversations with people. Is it's either like, oh, you watch One Piece, or it's like, oh, you watch One Piece. Like there's not really a middle. No one's like, oh, it's okay. It's like you either got into it or you didn't. Because it's been going on since we were like, what, three?
Yeah, it's
Like,
so long.
yeah, it was like 1994. I think it started.
I think so.
Like getting animated. I think it started in 1990 or something like that.
Hmm.
But
Maybe,
I just
I'm not sure.
did you ever get Jump back when it was like a magazine?
A couple, yeah.
I have like four of them where it's like the old One Piece, and it was like Shaman King One Piece,
Oh my god,
um, Yu Hakusho, which I feel like is heavily slept on and some people will never see.
Yu Yu Hakusho is amazing.
Do you feel like there's any show that like if you had to give some people must watches, and I'm not gonna do like top five because I feel like on the spot it's just too hard for people to think of that stuff. Like, is there any show that if you're like, hey, if you're getting into anime, what would be like some recommendations for a first time person that has no experience with it before?
Oh man,
We'll say under 100 episodes
under 100. Hmm.
because I feel like we you have had this discussion before.
Yeah, a lot of times. So I'd say Death Note, definitely.
Yeah.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Let's see, Erased,
Okay, I haven't seen it.
because so my current girlfriend Rachel, she used to watch anime a lot when she was younger. Then she just kind of fell off.
Yeah.
And then like when we first started dating, she knew I was big into anime, and I tried to get her to watch with me, and she didn't want to do it at first, but then I introduced her to Erased, and now like she was hooked on it, and we're watching a bunch of different stuff now, like
That's awesome.
My Hero, Spy Family.
Spy Family's amazing, man. It's like
Yeah,
so wholesome. It's definitely not super intense, but like Anya is just like the best character that could be in that show.
yes. Spy Family is also another one I'd say because it's wholesome. It has some action, good characters, and then it's not too overbearing.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen Erased yet, but I need to watch it. Um, I feel like I would definitely go Death Note and Full Metal because they're just so easy.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like as messed up as it would be for some people, Akame Got Kill is probably one of the best. Like that or Vinland Saga.
Mm.
Like Vinland Saga, I think actually, if I had to give a show like a 9.5, like probably Vinland Saga. Like the pacing was fucking amazing. The plot development was great. Even the way they ended it, like I feel like they really closed most of the circle, and obviously there's still more because season 2 comes out sometime in the near future. Like
Yeah.
that was definitely a show that I walked away from. That I was like, there was not a single episode where it was like, what the hell are they doing?
Oh, also another one. Uh, To Your Eternity. I don't know if you've watched that, but season 2 is coming out soon. I think
I started, and I know it's just like,
it's an emotional roller coaster.
oh, dude, I know I'm screwed. I started it, and I just remember like the beginning, first 2 or 3 episodes. I was like, oh crap,
Oh,
like,
it's a lot.
oh yeah, man. What else is? I'm trying to think what else hits the ground running. Like that you watch the opening scene and you're just like, what's happening?
So I might get a lot of hate, but I say Demon Slayer.
What's the opening scene? I don't even remember the opening scene.
It's like when Tanjiro's like you see his family and like he's about to go into town to like sell the coal.
Okay. You say Demon Slayer is one for people to start watching, or one that hits the ground at like 100?
More so for people to start watching. It kind of builds up. It takes a little to build up, I would say.
I should probably say Fate Zero too.
Mm,
I'm really partial to like anything with Greek mythology and as they go through like history too. But I think I was talking to my tattoo artist when Logan was on here, and we were talking about like Emiya's dad, or like adopted dad.
hmm.
Like is probably one of the best. Like he has really good character development I found, and he's like a really good example of like someone who gets to a part of the story that's like this isn't what I wanted, or like didn't actually understand what it would take to what the thing he wanted was.
Mm. Yeah, I never finished Fit Zero. I should probably finish it.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, you've seen Fate Stay probably, right?
Yes.
Like the one Berserker, not Berserk, but Berserker.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that one was the first one I saw. Then I went backwards, but I feel like I'm really struggling to think. Oh, Elfen Lied. I haven't finished it.
I never watched that.
The opening
That's
scene
on
of
the
that
list.
show is just like you're just like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, there's just people dying left and right.
I mean, if you really want something that's gonna like hit the ground running in like a bad way, I guess Goblin Slayer. Because a lot of people like lost their shit for that first episode
Really,
because of what happens.
I haven't seen it. Yeah, I'm trying to think, but that would definitely, I would agree with you on most of those. I feel like I ask people that too when I've talked to people that want to get into it or that are like curious because, like you, I'm really passionate about anime. I'm
Hmm.
like, like, what? I was like, what kind of movies do you watch? Like, that's generally the question I'll ask. Because I was like, otherwise, it's like, there's stuff that's definitely like way etchier and way more violent than most people are used to.
Hmm.
And then there's stuff like Spy X Family where it's like, cool, you like Owen Wilson, you probably need to watch this show. Like, because I feel like that's like an easy, like, you know what I mean? It's like it's funny, like you said, it's wholesome, but it's not like the show Dahmer that you're watching now, or like
Hmm.
some of like Saving Private Ryan, like the
Yeah.
movie. If you've seen that movie, and it literally that movie starts at 100.
I mean, another one that I would probably recommend for like someone who's trying to get into anime, because I know like the scene now with like what people are into are like more like true crime, like gang related stuff, like drug related stuff. I would say Tokyo Revengers.
I actually was hoping you were to say that because that was also Like I really love that show, and I'm waiting for
It's
season
so
two.
good, and it's like besides Berserk, it's one of the shows that I was just like, okay, I need to read the manga because I'm not waiting for season 2 to happen.
So that's how I felt with Tower of God. Like I'm so happy it's getting a season two because for like a year and a half it wasn't. But like Bomb or Bam, however someone wants to say it,
Hmm.
I think it's Bomb. Like his
Like lip
progress,
balm.
yeah, his progression as a character. Like season two really highlights like how much of a beast he is. But I just think as you keep going through the manga and there's like 543 49 chapters because he's on
Jesus.
hiatus, like I love the style of animation because it's kind of unique.
Hmm.
I just think like they did such a good job with like he gets his ass kicked all the time and he's still like a prodigy, so it's not like one of those things where like you ever see any of the I just finished a certain scientific accelerator
I saw one of those. I forget which
index
one
or
it was.
railgun probably.
Yeah, railgun.
Like in an accelerator he's an anti-hero, but like he's just too OP. Like everyone's just kind of like his limiter is himself.
Oh wow.
And it's like you're just watching it and you're like, cool, well, nothing can really stop him. So like it's just entertaining in that way. Like Overlord, I heard is actually the same thing, and I haven't watched that show.
I watched the first season. I liked it, but like I just gotta watch more of it.
Yeah, I've
But
heard season four is pretty good.
yeah,
Wait, what were you-
going back to what you were saying about Tower of God. Like I'm looking forward to season 2 because of like you said the character development. Because I remember the first season, Bam just he wants to find Rachel. Oh, Rachel, 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 and then he finally sees her, and like
yeah,
he gets betrayed by her.
yeah. I so Rachel's interesting because the mangaka, and it's a webtoon, was saying like she's not actually an antagonist. She's not the main antagonist, but like there are multiple times if you read it and when they animate it that you just grow to hate her more and more. That you're like, God, you're such a piece of shit. Like as a character, like because there's so much jealousy there.
Yeah,
And you
and
see
I
that at the end of season one, I think too.
okay, yeah, I remember when she like pushed him off for that like the edge or something.
Yeah, but trying to think what else I've read that kind of reminds me of that, or what else I've seen.
Yeah, I'm trying to get more into manhwa, like the Korean style manga, which
Oh
is
yeah, yeah, the
like
web.
Tower of God.
Yeah,
God of High School I heard is really good, but it gets in really intense. Like they
yeah,
introduce so much shit. But one of the manhwas that I really enjoyed reading that I'm almost finished with is Solo Leveling.
yeah. We've talked about this.
Oh my god, it's so good. But
I
like they're making an anime for it, and they're changing a lot because like they make Japan like bad guys or something.
really interesting.
Yeah,
I do
they're
feel like
making the.
they're making them like the antagonist in the show.
In the manhwa, the Japanese are like the antagonists or
Really
something. Yeah.
interesting. I really like the webtoons for what I have seen. Like God of High School being another one, or what I've read. Tower of God. I know you told me Solo Leveling, and the I guess like the teaser trailer for it looks amazing.
Hmm.
And I have to read that at some point. I've seen art from it and it looks really cool with the main character and kind of what his abilities are roughly that I can surmise. But I feel like knowing you, because I know you've read it, you're still reading it, I think. Like how excited are you for Chainsaw Man?
I'm so freaking excited, man. Like, holy shit. Like, I'm just looking on like the Crunchyroll store and like any like Hot Topic and stuff. I'm like buying as much Chainsaw Man stuff as I can because I know it's gonna be all sold out.
Oh yeah. I mean, dude, the animation of I know we've talked about like Mappa as a studio who's doing it.
Hmm.
Like they crushed the two trailers that I've seen. I'm like, this is gonna be amazing.
Yes. Like they do a good job with like all the stuff they animate, but they gotta fucking treat their workers better.
Really? They do a shitty job with that.
They overwork them.
Okay. I mean, I've heard I feel like that's a really typical thing that I've seen with like people just take mental and physical health hiatuses as animators or
Hmm.
manga illustrators because like they're so devoted to it at times. Then obviously too on the other side, like you said, with the overworking aspect, like you just run yourself into the ground.
Hmm.
But you see they nerfed Makima.
I
Like
did. She got
They
no ass now.
yeah, they pissed off a
Yeah.
bunch of people and they're like, and it's gone.
I'm still looking forward to it though.
Oh no, so am I. I just thought it was funny because it was like there was some other show. It was it was you ever see Adult Toy with Me, Miss Nagatoro?
Yes.
Okay, so I thought that what did you think of it before I comment?
I liked it.
I liked it a lot. I found the first couple episodes kind of triggering because of how much it just bullies him.
Yeah.
But the president at one point they made her like flat chested,
Oh,
and there was a side by side, and then the next week they literally changed like the anime, and it was funny as shit because it was like you talk about like Reddit having leverage and like the internet, like it was like, hey, you can't do this to us, and then like they instantly fixed it relative to what it actually was.
yeah, I remember seeing that. I was like, yo, why the fuck is her chest so goddamn big?
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like that's just a distortion of anime too, man. Just like I see memes every so often for like animes that are all about food, and it's like Food Wars, Attack on Titan, um, Promise Neverland. I forget like some of the other ones, but like Parasite.
Mm.
I think that's a good one that's like less than 30 episodes.
Yeah, I think it's like 24 or something,
I
but
think it is
Parasite's
too.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's one most people probably don't watch, but that's in that like it's not supernatural, but like horror-ish genre,
Hmm.
sci-fi.
Um, Also, like, I know you're gonna be happy when I say this because it's one of our favorite animes. Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
Saw it's getting two spinoffs, right?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Oh, dude. I don't think people like there's a lot of depth in that show. Like
Hmm.
you just see mine's not even in the bunny suit most of the time.
Yeah, just for that, like that one time in the library.
It's like that and one other scene where she's helping him
Yeah.
study, I think.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
that's
that's so amazing. I remember not wanting to start it because I'm like, oh, it's probably like another dumb romance one, but I
oh
ended up
dude,
loving it.
I love that stuff. Like, have you seen Love is War?
Love is War. No, I'm
Kaguya-sama
actually
Love is
I'm
War?
actually getting a lot more into romance anime,
Oh, dude,
as you
I'm
know, because we talked about it, like especially with Rent a Girlfriend.
so that show, I just want to say, like, I've watched it and I think I lose brain cells because the pacing is so slow, like we've talked about.
Yeah.
But there is nothing worse. And it's funny because it's so fucking bad. Like, is girlfriend?
Oh God.
So like I just remember these dudes on Reddit were like, boys, no, it was on fucking YouTube, a video. They're like, boys, we finally made it to the last episode with one brain cell left. Like, because you're watching that and you're just like, dude, there's no one that would probably agree to those conditions. Like, if you've seen the show.
I actually refuse to watch it just because how much you told me about it.
Oh, I mean, if you watch it, like I said, that's what's funny about it. Is like you get to the last episode and you're just like, this is literally like, yeah, it could happen, but like you'd have to have like probably women who don't respect themselves. Like this guy's an idiot, like who they're dating. And it's just like one of those things where you're just like, it's literally like Rent a Girlfriend, but like 10x worse. Like at
Mm,
least now where they just did the season two, like Mitsuhara has better backstory. Like you have context and there's some development there. Like
hmm.
other than that, I mean, Ruka's the same and Mommy Chan's the same.
Fuck Mommy Chan.
Yeah, great design, terrible character.
Hmm. I'm actually waiting for it to finish before I start watching it again.
You're probably better off that way.
Yeah, I mean I know what happens because I read the manga, but
Yeah, I'm trying to think what like one thing I couldn't get into actually was it's not Black Sumner, it was the Last Sumner, and it's Chinese dubbed because it's not from Japan. It's damn
bless you.
that allergies, dude, are whooping my ass for that. But I just couldn't get into like the vocal aspect of it.
Hmm.
The voice tones are so native compared to like Japanese speakers or some of the voice actors are the same throughout. Like I'll be watching some show and I'm like, oh, that's like whoever from Gundam or like this. Oh,
Hmm.
it's Tanjiro. Like, but I think the greatest thing is this guy Kyle, who was on my podcast like 3 episodes ago, who's the huge JoJo fan. JoJo is also, oh my god, he has the same voice actor.
Erwin
Erwin. He's
from Attack on
Erwin.
Titan.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
Erwin. And then there's a couple other people that I was just like, holy shit. I was like, you hear it and you just immediately are like, I can't unsee it. I can't unhear it anymore.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, uh, so the guy who plays Bond from Seven Deadly Sins is also Draken from Tokyo Revengers.
That okay, I definitely hear that. Draken is probably one of my favorite characters in that
Hmm.
show.
But they're actually replacing him
Mm.
because the voice actor he was married to Lisa, the
Really?
woman who does like a lot of anime
Yeah,
openings.
every anime opening ever.
Yeah, and he like apparently cheated on her. So I think they might be replacing him for next season. I'm not sure yet. I don't know if it's confirmed.
I don't know if that justifies him losing his job, but I think in terms of characters, I loved his voice
Hmm.
acting. So I'd be kind of upset if like, if he ends up like super nasally, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna lose his job, but I know a lot of
Yeah.
people are pissed about it because a lot of people love Lisa.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, she's great. She's done like there's so many openings I've heard like just through my Spotify playlists and stuff, and like I don't even know who it is. And then I'll like be like, wait, oh, this is Lisa like, again. But no, I mean his character, I think in Tokyo Revengers is like he's so respectful, even though they're like delinquents, right?
Hmm.
Like, and yeah, he's just such good morality and ethics as a person in that show. Like even
Yeah,
with
he's Mikey's conscience basically.
yeah, I feel like Mikey's just a kid. He's like kind of
Hmm.
Mikey's dad in some way.
Yeah.
But and then you have like oh god, who's the dude who has the sewing club with purple hair?
Mitsuya
Yeah,
or
like
something like that.
he's like
Yeah.
super. He's like his some aspect of him is the exact opposite of the gang. Obviously,
Hmm.
I love Baji, dude. I was so upset
Bro,
with.
Baji's like one of my favorite characters too.
I was like, fuck, man. Like, I loved his character design. I loved his like attitude. It
Hmm.
still, again, had pretty good like ethics as like a leader in that show.
Yeah, like that show in general has like a lot of good lessons and like values,
Yeah,
even though it's like a story about like kids in a gang.
I think my favorite thing, and that goes back to what you're saying, was that's kind of like a lot of stuff is trended towards like the gangs, like or crime stuff.
Hmm.
One of my favorite things I think is like how distorted their age is. Like they're in middle school and like Dragon's probably like 6'2", has a six pack, and it's probably like a buck 80.
Hmm.
Then like Baji's got to be a grown man basically.
Yeah, and then
Katsuto's got neck tattoos.
yeah, and then like you see like I don't want to spoil too much, but you see like as it'll go on, like they're picking fights with fucking adults.
Yeah, I just thought that was like one of the funniest things when you see like the distortion like across the board, right? Like you have Baki too, which is like,
Oh, I love Baki. I just started watching the Netflix Baki. I'm on season 2.
wait, is there two different ones?
I mean, there's 3 parts, so I'm on like part 2, I guess.
Okay. I need to watch it, but like just the beginning of Baki, I'm like, this is he's a high schooler, right?
Yeah, he's like 16, 17 years old.
Yeah, he's fighting like
Yeah,
Phil
like martial
like,
arts
Phil Heath
champions and stuff.
basically. Like they're the size of Phil Heath with the
Hmm.
dexterity of Bruce Lee.
Hmm.
And you're just like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, so if you're gonna start Baki, I would suggest like watching the older Baki first, so you get
Yeah.
like some context first. Like it's all on YouTube. It's like 48 episodes.
Holy shit, it's longer than I thought.
Yeah, but like the Netflix Baki is like split into 3 parts, and they're all like 12, 13 episodes each.
Damn, that's solid.
Yeah, but
Well, I feel
stuff
like
like nonsense fighting anime, like I fucking love like Baki, Kengan Ashura.
I have to watch Kengan Ashura.
Oh, Kengan Ashura is good, but the art style kind of hurts because it's 3D.
I know. I mean, I can get down with it sometimes. I think one show I started that I liked, but I just wasn't super into was Arcane.
Okay, I don't think I watched that.
It's the League of Legends Netflix anime with like Jinx.
Oh, okay.
And it's good in some ways, but like it's just not my animation style, if you know what I mean. Like I like the older stuff that's kind of like true to Yu Yu Hakusho, there's Ushio and Tora, which is like early 2000s, and that's reminiscent of like what we grew up with on Tsunami, like OG Dragon Ball.
Hmm.
And then I feel like the stuff that gets like too 3D is just like the newer Berserk stuff. I'm even at times like I don't know if I want to watch.
Yeah, that's a lot of that's a big reason why I didn't like it, and because of like the sound effects. Like Guts would
Oh,
swing a sword and it would sound like a freaking frying pan hitting something.
oh, that's stupid. Yeah, I feel like there are so many little details that you have to get right. Like that's how I even
Hmm.
feel as I'm watching like Violet Evergarden now. Like everything from like the way her eyes are drawn to like the scenery is so detailed, like
Hmm.
the mannerisms, everything. And I'm like, they've so far they've crushed it in my opinion. And I'm only on episode one.
Yeah, it's really good.
So I feel like a good place to kind of wrap up would be, is there anything outside of work, outside of anime that you've kind of been exploring on your own or you're looking forward to getting into?
Um,
Hmm.
More so like movement, I guess. I guess that's kind of part of work. There's like a lot of my job is like trying to stay knowledgeable and learning outside even when I'm not at work. So I'm exploring a little more movement. So like I actually subscribe to Connor's newsletter, and it's a lot of
Nice.
good information.
Yeah, Connor crushes content, man.
Yeah,
Nice. So you try to get into like the PRI stuff or any of that?
not to that extent, but a little bit.
I think what Connor does really well is just it's super digestible.
Hmm.
You don't lose the big facts and like some of the smaller details, but it's not so complex where like you take PRI at times and you're just like, I'm scratching my head like in English, please. Like,
Hmm.
and also like, you know, this, I feel like something that always is just like, it can be confusing is like, are we talking about like from the front of the body, like an anterior view? This is like ER, IR. Are we looking at the back and like now you're describing the same motion at the joint, but it's obviously reversed.
Yeah.
So
So like I've always learned that like if you're trying to teach something to someone, like explain it to them like as if they were like 10 years old.
for sure, and I think that's just the easiest way to get like your feet wet because I've definitely I've gone through PRI before and after working with Connor, and it makes so much more sense now. But when I first went through it, I was like, yeah, I know what the hamstring is, but I don't really understand how it does all this.
Hmm.
So yeah, no, for sure. Is there anything else besides that?
Nothing really. It's just like, a lot of work, a lot of like anime mostly.
Nice, dude. Well, I appreciate having you on. If people want to find and connect with you, and if you want to be found, where can people possibly find you?
Yeah, sure. Instagram really, like I don't really post too much to be honest, but my handle is the double underscore lone double underscore Uchiha. So yeah, if you guys
Cool.
want to follow me. I don't really post that much,
Yeah,
but sometimes I'm funny.
yeah. I feel like you use your story more than anything.
Yeah.
Cool, Norm. I appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.